You're listening to your brain on air. The program will begin shortly. Enjoy.
Vous écoutez votre cerveau en air. Le programme commencera bientôt. Enjoy.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Your Brain on Air. I am your host, Ollie Vogt Larson. And if I had as many followers as Joe Rogan, do you think I could ever hope to be half as retarded as he is? I'm just going to be honest with you. Do you think the numbers, it comes with the territory that you just lose the brain cells as the followers pour in? I want to know, just in case this thing ever pops off. Like, literally, ask him to name 5 countries right now. There's not a small chance that some of you and him just said Asia. Probably some of you just dropped Rome, Giza, Paris, London, and South America. By the way, this is a good test. I want to throw out a test that you all can use in order to like sort of feel out whether or not the person you're talking to should even be commenting to you about politics. Name 5 forms of government. And if you say capitalism, get the fuck out of here. You fucking socialist, communist, spy pig. I want you out. Forms of government ain't money systems. It's the way in which you organize your power structure. I want to get it clear for you. You have democracy, representative and direct. You have constitutional republics. You have monarchies, oligarchies, dictatorships, aristocracies. You have theocracies. You have a bunch of them. You can look all over the world and see different variations. Some of them are varying degrees of authoritarian. You have some that are all the way North Korea. You have some like Turkmenistan. There's interesting views of the world when you just like step outside of, I don't know, the county you live in or the country you live in through the little lens on your phone that you're told to care about it through. Verse yourself well on these different forms of leadership, people, because they will be all used in different ways equally by other countries and people to try to take whatever currency we've all agreed on out of your pocket and into theirs. Listen. Not that I'm a retard who says, trust everybody, socialism works, everybody wants to work just as hard as everybody else. No, not that. I love so much when, like, communists, they have to work through the idea eventually. They're brought, though, the issue of, and not everybody wants to work as hard as everybody else. There are some people that just want to coast through life. There's some people that don't really want to put in the same amount of effort. And then those people will eventually go, the people will want to help because it'll be the only way that they'll get food or water or shelter. Well, can I be honest with you? Can I throw out one critique? That sounds like a gun to your head, just in another form. But hey, some people, they like the press of the cold metal against their scalp. I'd rather live in a libertarian's fantasy where I watch bad mothers and their mistakes die on the streets than have my billfold robbed. But by the way, that billfold goes to feeding your family. Remember, everything that you are putting out there to the world to benefit somebody else is robbing your family or yourself. I know that people will be like, you're being selfish. Think of your children. If I put it into that context, doesn't it make it so much more understandable? Exactly. You don't want to be robbed so that deadbeats can continue in their shifty ways. You know what I mean? Wake up. I'm tired of pseudo-moralist pigs. No one is required to love and care about you or your children except yourself. Community is always formulated, a true community is formulated by free choice, not the government. The government would like to take away that choice from you, by the way. They want to make you docile, a nothing burger, a nobody, a unit of production, without those little pesky ideas of independence, personal liberties. Now, that's not to say that I'm in favor of the world being a free-for-all. We obviously need laws to prevent the obvious bad businesses like prostitution. That should be flat out illegal. Oh no! What about the fact that the whore needs to feed her kids? It sounds like if she handled that whore issue to begin with, she wouldn't have the problems to feed. Maybe she shouldn't be the type to have children and then force them into a life where their mother is known as the town bicycle. Quit it. Well, we get far left, far right. Honestly, libertarians, prostitution is a business that is not empowering the women. It isn't freeing to them. It essentially, by the way, is only has proven out to be a fostering place for these types of sex trafficking rings. You like watching those pimp movies from the 90s? That's all that these businesses are. I'm just going to be honest with you. There's not the average woman isn't putting on her lipstick and going, all right, now, Courtney, you're going to go out there and you're going to stand on the street corner and you're just going to see if some guy wants your attention. You're not going to get his medical information or anything. You're just going to go out there and you're going to make a couple extra bucks so that you can go out and feed those kiddos. No mother is doing that. By the way, I just want to be honest with you. This extends to OnlyFans to some extent. You know what? If you want to make porn of yourself and put it all over the internet, that's up to you. But when it comes to poisoning the society around you with with your body being the thing that's on the market, you are making yourself the meat. It's encouraging you to sell your body, the most sacred blessing anyone is ever given. For what exactly? Money, shekels that'll get you and your spawn another month at most, in some dugout shitbox that you hope catches fire every goddamn day for the insurance money. Folks, speaking of people whose lives are not going great, Washington State is having some troubles. They are the latest in this string of, quite frankly, what's looking like attacks on paper mills. I understand that accidents happen and coincidences happen, but coincidences are always key. You know what I mean? You got to keep your eye open. You have to be open to perception. Now, listen, there's this paper mill situation that we're looking at. Folks, what we're looking at, if you saw it in California with the 50,000 people being evacuated with their tank explosion, you are seeing that these tanks holding chemicals necessary in the production of paper, in arms manufacturing, like we saw in California, we are looking at is from 30,000 feet is a coordinated hit on chemical manufacturing industries. In general, you're seeing public trust in these companies plummet. No one knows if their city plant is going to be the next one to explode. If you work in a factory of any kind or any setting that works with any sort of like grindable materials, literally any heavy manufacturing thing that involves chemicals to any extent, which is everything, watch out is the message that you're getting. Folks, the government might blow up your factory next just for a little ratings boost for their media friends like Barry Weiss. You'll be walking around the floor, skin sloughing off of your torched chemicals body. You will be in the chemical burn unit of the local hospital, and the fire team, the sheriff, the emergency response coordinator, they're all getting their flowers thrown at them because they handled your workplace kerfuffle. Let's look at this clip from CBS Evening News. Boom.
Breaking news today from Washington State, a major chemical explosion, in the words of the governor there, resulting in what first responders have called a mass casualty event. It happened early this morning, local time, at a paper mill along the Columbia River there in Longview, about 40 miles north of Portland, and it involved a vat of chemicals used to turn rough wood pulp into soft tissues, wrapping paper, and other packaging. Our CBS News correspondent Jonathan Vigliotti now with what we know about what happened.
There's 3 people with a chemical burn and 1 suspect is deceased.
God.
Hazmat crews and fire trucks rushed to a paper mill in Longview, Washington this morning.
Terrible.
After a tank holding thousands of gallons of corrosive chemicals exploded.
We can also confirm there were fatalities related to the incident. We are not confirming or giving the information on their names until their families have been notified.
10 people, including a firefighter, were injured and transported to local hospitals.
At this time, officials have identified no immediate threat to the surrounding community, and we're still asking the public to avoid the area while we're still in the recovery phase.
Folks, you are going to be getting your 3rd injection of morphine that day from the hospital bed. You're going to watch the TV. They always have the TV like in the movies. And the plant owners, your bosses, they're going to get all teary-eyed about the mistakes that were made. And if people only listen to our workplace safety rules or some shit, you'll be watching your bosses, all of them. They're going to be, they're going to be giving their hearts out to the ones that were lost. By the way, they were the ones who've been keeping OSHA out as long as they can. They ignored infractions. They kept telling you to turn the valve. We'll deal with the stuff as it breaks. Then one day, unfortunately, that valve broke. Now look at you, folks. I just want to let you know this. Memorial Day was the earliest possible date, and Labor Day is also the latest possible date, September 8th this year. So this unofficial summer season is going to be 106 days. Phineas and Ferb were indeed wrong. I can confirm it. Folks, if you are genuinely still eating Arby's, I want to warn you, you're going to be doing us a favor soon, and you're going to be letting the meats take you to where you belong, the grave. Let's talk about whether or not we want robots to deal with your disorderly conduct at a bar. Folks, I want to tell you, I've been calling this for years. The humanoid robots, the police are here. They're stronger than any of us, and they will get you to the pavement in 2 seconds flat. Flat on your back, flat as a goddamn pancake. You should be worried about these New York City robots. Should we be barring them from carrying flamethrowers? What question is this even? Apparently, New York City residents want you to consider this one. Let's hear it.
Does it sound
like a good idea to mount guns or flamethrowers onto AI-controlled robots.
Maybe not.
Not a joke. It's a serious question being considered right now by lawmakers in Albany. And tonight, the I-Team tracks a bill that would ban weaponizing autonomous robots. It might sound like common...
Hold on. Now, okay. When we have a debate as a society, it means that someone posed the question in the first place. Now, I'm not going to say that they have a Lex Lutherian figure up there in Albany right now who is, you know, it's what's his name? The actor I like, Nicholas Hoult, I think is his name. And he's got the bald cap on. He's walking around in a nice pinstripe suit. Oh my God, the way it worked with the lighting in that movie. That was one of the things about that movie that I did enjoy, was the costume design was pretty on point. It just looked really nice, especially by Lex Luthor. He looked really sharp. Well, there is a Lex Lutherian figure up there. He has something called, like, I don't know, Elon Tech. And he is pitching to all local, municipalities in Metropolis, New York City, that we should begin to roll out the bots. The bots will, guess what? You are not going to have another George Floyd situation because the robot will know exactly what the patient's body temperature is. It'll be able to put like a needle into you, and it'll be able to detect all your vitals, and they'll know if they're putting too much pressure. They'll know if the Minneapolis police put out faulty training, which actually led to the unfortunate conviction of the innocent Derek Chauvin. Let's talk about the reality, ladies and gentlemen. The robots will not make the same mistakes that the humans do. They are going to know exactly how much pressure to apply to that black man's neck. They are going to know exactly whether or not to shoot the next Trayvon Martin. They will not make the same mistakes. And if they do, God help Elon Musk. No, it's not Elon Musk. I didn't say that. God help Lex Luthor.
Sense, but as News Force Chris Glorioso reports, the bill is stalled in the state house.
Earlier this year, Chinese state media made this video public. It shows military grade.
What you have are little dogs. They look like my dog, Scrappy. He is this little, he's such a grouchy little old man right now. He is just, he tromps around. He has a tromp. You can always hear him coming down the stairs and stuff, because his nails, they do this little clicky clacky thing. So you can always hear when he's approaching. The robot dogs are the same. You always hear that. And that is my dog. Imagine my little dog. He's a Pomeranian Yorkie. He's the cutest little thing. He doesn't have the Yorkie look. He's a little more Pomeranian. His brother was a little more Yorkie. But they moved the same way. And essentially, imagine these two dogs with machine guns mounted on top of them. They move at most like a little tiny tromping speed, and if they're getting chased by horses, maybe like a decent run. It's like a third grader running. You know what I mean? It looks like a child. You would be like, holy shit, that toddler is about to get its head tromped in by this horse. That's terrifying. That is about the speed that these dogs will be coming at you with fucking AR-15s mounted on their back. Let's take a look.
This video public. It shows military-grade robot dogs with automatic weapons on their backs. It also shows an armed drone hovering as it opens fire. Closer to home,
Flamethrowers.
Ohio company is now.
Of course, it's fucking Ohio. They're going to be selling these for home defense. You're going to be able to purchase these flamethrower dogs for the front of your house.
An Ohio company is now advertising this flame-throwing robot, available for purchase at near $9,000.
I'm getting one.
The manufacturer says the flame-throwing dog could help with wildfire control, agriculture management, or snow and...
Wildfire control? I guess if you're going to be doing controlled burns like the Indians do, you know what I mean? I grew up around the reservation. You'd always like drive past the highway. You'd like freak out to your parents, Mom, that fucking field's on fire. And she'd be like, don't worry. They probably got it approved by like the locals or whatever. And then you'd figure out, oh shit, they do that in order to make sure that we don't have wildfires. Maybe that would be a great idea. Okay, maybe, see, this is what they're doing. They are getting into my brain. They are preemptive programming me to like this. And I'm not going to give in. I am a pro-human first person, but I do like that they made it a dog. They were smart to make it this cute little thing. I inherently really like dogs.
The dog could help with wildfire control, agriculture management, or snow and ice removal.
Snow and ice removal. I'm getting my parents this for their driveway. I'm getting my building manager this so that she can just fucking clear it out with that. That is a great idea, ladies and gentlemen.
Still, images like these raise the very real question.
Weaponizing robots, where are the limits?
Should robots with guns or flamethrowers be allowed on America's civilian streets?
Fuck yeah.
I think it's terrifying.
Robots with guns, I think that's way too far.
Nothing good can come of it.
I just fear change. See, listen, all right, I normally am on the side of pushing back on AI. I'm normally on the side of like, hey, these data centers are not a great idea. You know, some people's water quality is going brown. It's turning into like this GAC-like sludge. If you're a 90s baby or 2000s kid, you know GAC or phloem. It's starting to come out like goddamn phloem. These people's water is turning into fucking, it's solid. It's turning into oobleck. That shit that your sister used to make where it's cornstarch and water and then you punch it and it's hard, but then you sink your hand into it and then it's really soft and then it just it's really cool stuff. If you never made it, I'd recommend you make it. Actually, don't. It's kind of a waste of money, but it's fun. It's whatever. Listen, people are afraid of the things that honestly sometimes make the world a better place. I'm not Kevin O'Leary saying that we need to make your city 5 degrees hotter during the day in order to, I don't know, make a data center. I'm saying let people buy the machine gun dogs. Okay, we can't take them into the city. Fair. We will not have any. If you live in a city, I'm sorry, you can't own one and you can't really like bring it around anywhere. But once you get out of city limits, and I know that this is only going to last for like the next, I don't know, 50 years before America eventually spreads out into a nationwide city state. There's only going to be some national parks. People that were living out in the countryside are going to be boxed in by brand new developments. America is going to be just urban sprawl eventually, but it'll be mostly data center. There's going to be this weird hum, and it's going to be called the American hum or something. And it's going to be like this thing that other nations talk about. They're like, yeah, we didn't invest nearly as heavy on the data center stuff, so we don't have the hum, but the Americans will deal with the hum. And you know what, in this dystopia, we need to remember the fact that it is important for those 50 years before the Civil War, before AM was created, the computer that stretched all across the world and then was able to keep people alive and torture them perpetually. I have no mouth and I must scream. Before that happens, we had those 50 years where the Civil War was being fought with goddamn dogs, with fucking robot. They were the A-team. This was an epic era. And it's going to be fun for kids to learn about before they scrub all the history books of it in order to destroy independent thought.
To lots of folks, prohibiting remote control or automated machines from carrying firearms or flamethrowers sounds like common sense. But it turns out there is no rush to ban gun-toting robots in New York's legislature.
Fuck nah.
Yes.
This bill would prohibit most robots and drones from being mounted with things like guns and flamethrowers. Assemblymember Clyde Vanell sponsored the bill and says that is a no-brainer.
This is crazy. This has to be against the law. And I looked
how?
within our state and I saw that it is not.
And at least for the time being, owning a flame-throwing robot dog remains legal in New York.
Woo!
Last week, Vanell's bill failed to get scheduled for even a committee vote in the state legislature session.
This is mandatory. This is mandatory to keep humans sane.
We're too focused on the late state budget. Meanwhile, there are also similar bills to ban weaponized robots in the Massachusetts and California state houses.
Bastards.
ProFlame, the company that makes that flame-throwing robot dog, declined an interview request.
Damn it.
Sent a written statement saying flamethrowers are tools, not weapons.
Yep.
And any bill banning this machine would be redundant.
Yes, it would be.
Offensive use of any object, robotic or otherwise, against another person is already illegal.
Exactly. You don't want to create externalities.
If someone weaponizes a robot to harm someone, we do not need a new law. We need a prosecutor willing to use the ones that already exist.
Throw down the hammer. There is a hammer to fall. Freddie Mercury was right. This is that hammer, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to leave this in the description because we've spent so much goddamn time on this dog. We need to move on to the meta layoffs so that we can move on to the rapid fire section of today's headlines because there's so much stuff happening in the news, ladies and gentlemen, and we got to keep you informed. So, meanwhile, there's a lot of financial realities for the tech world. They're hitting the Pacific Northwest really, really hard. Meta giant that has announced a sweeping workforce reduction across Washington state. Official state filings reveal the company is laying off nearly 1,400 local workers. Oh, this is great. Amazing news. They were heavily impacting engineering and product development roles. The pink slips are hitting the offices across Puget Sound or the Puget Sound region, and the Bellevue, and with Bellevue taking the hardest hit and nearly 700 job cuts following a deep downsizing in Seattle, Redmond, and among other remote employees statewide, while Meta's separation package offers affected workers 16 weeks of base pay. Termination, the mass termination is expected to send immediate ripples through the local housing and small business markets, of course. Listen, I know this is going to affect their local communities. And God help them. God help them. We pray for them every night. What I'm trying to say, though, is that my sympathy for the devil, I know that's a song. I wasn't trying to make a reference. My sympathy for the agents of Satan, and by agents of Satan, I mean the people who were helping Meta. They were perfectly fine biting the apple. They were not the apple, the fruit of knowledge. They were perfectly fine siding with evil in the development of these things that are going to be taking jobs. They are going to be wiping fucking clean areas of sleep off the map. You were going to be sleeping at your grandma's house, and you remember how it was in the 2000s where you'd hear a train, it would sound like an aesthetic video on TikTok or some shit, and you'd hear like maybe TikToks or bugs and whatnot. It would go, and then you'd hear the birds in the morning. That's all going to be covered by a constant, it's going to be like that low resonant hum. The AI data center hum is on its way, ladies and gentlemen, and my sympathy for those who helped usher in this world for a couple extra paychecks, my sympathy for all of them is incredibly limited. I'm sorry. I gotta be honest.
Meta employees in Washington are getting ready to lose their jobs. Yeah, we are seeing the numbers broken down by the state now.
Sucks for them, I know.
Jason Sloss is live outside Meta offices in Bellevue. And Jason, hundreds there impacted by this.
Yeah, around half of the local layoffs are hitting the offices right here in Bellevue. This after Meta announced last month plans to cut 10% of its total workforce, about 8,000 employees.
Wow.
Nearly 1,400 local Meta employees have only a matter of weeks before they lose their jobs. According to a Washington state WARN notice, layoffs include 699 jobs in Bellevue, 259 at 2 Seattle offices, 206 jobs in Redmond, along with 231 remote workers. Meta says it's making cuts to make the company more efficient and to offset other investments, including up to $135 billion in AI projects this year.
We're in an AI arms race.
No, we are not.
Company sees this as the gold rush.
All right, everybody's on the AI thing about it. Oh, it might gain consciousness. The big thing about consciousness that a lot of people are missing about this. Okay, so we've had AI for years at this point. I believe the first recording that we have of was the Elisa program that people were able to chat with. This was a program that was designed in order to trick people into perceiving that the computer was able to think for itself, able to be conscious, and it only used like a very limited word pool. So very basically, and I want to explain this in the simplest of terms, as someone who's tried to look into the AI crisis as much as possible and tried to understand it with as objective a lens as possible. Essentially what we've done is these brains that they claim they're making, these neural networks, cut that shit out of your vocabulary. Every time these people say neural networks, like we're designing neural networks, they, in reality, are developing large language models that then have essentially programs that turn specific inputs into equations. Those equations are then recognized. They are able to form patterns, and they are able to be trained off of a large pool, largely clean data is what they call it. And it is human-oriented data. It's essays. It's all the stuff that they're able to grab from the internet that they can verify is true. They miss a lot of it, in all honesty, and they accidentally take in a lot of bullshit. But essentially, they train these models off of human input. What these computers are is very, very, very complex versions of that original program designed to trick you into thinking that it has conscious thought. These people who are claiming that the AI consciousness is here, the ability that this thing can begin to think for itself, this is entirely media hype, because all of these deep learning programs they claim to that they're like backseating, all of these sorts of things, it's cross-referencing the past. It is alchemy. It's magic with their words. They are over-exaggerating the language around their own product in order to make you think that we're in an AI data race with China. That's bullshit. We actually have been working with China with their DeepSeek programs. Sam Altman has portals to these AI realms and dimensions that he claims to have in China and in Saudi Arabia that he claimed that he wanted to have built himself, and in the United States. They have these things where they claim they're communicating with AI demons. These AI demons that they're claiming to talk to are the programs tricking them into thinking that it has conscious thought. And by the way, every person, have you noticed that every person who will tell you, yeah, it's pretty close, it's getting close to conscious thought, they're all involved in the cult. They're all in on, they're like, I'm involved in AI, I'm going to school for AI development and all that shit. It's because they're in on the cult. Of course, a Christian is going to tell you that Jesus died on the cross for your sins and came back 3 days later. What I'm trying to tell you is that anytime you hear from these people who are heavily invested in AI, like I'm going to school for it, or I'm paying to have this data center built in Utah, China's really there. We're in a competition to see who can get to consciousness first, who can get to the surveillance state first. They don't want to tell you that it's the surveillance state, but that's exactly what it is. That's what all these data centers are being built for. It's the cult. The cult is AI, and people who buy into the illusion, they are falling for the magic of words. Words are magic. Literally speaking, that was what the original magic was. It was the ability. Abracadabra literally means I say it, I create it. That is the base of magic. And essentially what words are able to do is you're able to cast these spells using your voice box and nothing more. You are able to convince people of absolutely insane shit to the point where they are talking to AI girlfriends. They are going to AI church. These people are talking to their AIs, their AI assistants, like their friends, like their old buddies. They are investing you in a religion. They don't pose it as a religion. That's how they get you. It is the biggest, I'm sorry to say it, if you're like, I hate corporate stuff, I don't like the corporate entities, I don't like the people who, Jeffrey Bezos, who's trying to keep the Amazon workers down. If you are invested in the AI boom whatsoever, you're just as brainwashed, dead inside as any of these fucking, I'm sorry, you are nothing. You have nothing in your soul that grounds you, and unfortunately, you are just like the Christians who fall for Christianity. You're just like the Muslims who go to they pray to the big black cube, or the Jews who fucking, they start dabbing it at sunrise, all that shit. They wear their tzitzits, they wear their tefillins and all that. You are just as invested in this cult. You just don't even realize it. You don't even realize it. It's unfortunate, but and by the way, if you want to talk sacrilegious, and I know many people are not looking at it from the religious angle, but if you want to talk anti-human, many people are like, I want a pro-human future. I want humans to benefit. I want people to be healthy, happy, and I want people to have good families. If you truly want this, if that is the future that you are investing yourself in, transhumanism, the integration of AI with our biology, is the most anti-human and sacrilegious thing. God apparently, and I'm going to appeal to the religious folks, he says that humanity is good enough for him, but humanity is not good enough for you. Humanity, your human body is not good enough for you, but it's good enough for God to give flesh into. That is the religious standpoint. And if you want the humanist standpoint, humans are the future. Human intelligence is what's necessary, is what's mandatory. And if you are looking at, we can boost ourselves with the AI integrations, we can create things that have never been thought before, do you understand that the people who are manufacturing this future are the same people who are going to be playing ads for Arby's in your head when you're going to sleep? These are the same people that you claim to hate so much. You're so anti-capitalist. You're so anti. I hate the profit-based establishment. You are the profit-based establishment. You're buying into it if you are buying into the AI bullshit. Look at this. Windows security. Microsoft, it's like Defender shit. It's like trying to give me a notification because it wants me to stop talking about this. Sorry, Bill Gates. I'm never going to stop. You're never going to stop me.
The opportunity to become the dominant player.
And with that AI arms race, UW business professor Jeff Schulman says tech companies no longer consider layoffs a sign of weakness.
You go 5 years back, and no tech company would ever want to admit that they overhired or that they were not growing at an astronomical pace. But now it seems it's a badge of honor to be able to say, we're getting more efficient, we're laying off more employees. It's really hard to predict when this will come to a stop.
Schulman adds, with so many lost jobs, the local economy will feel the impact.
It affects our housing, it affects our small businesses, and it also affects the momentum of our region.
We reached out to Meta about the layoffs, but did not get a response. In a memo sent to employees last week that was obtained by Reuters, Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg said, "It's always sad to say goodbye to people who have contributed to our mission and to building this company. I feel the weight of that, and I'm spending a lot of time making sure we manage this as well as possible."
It's sad to watch. I'm going to read this again. To watch and to say goodbye to the people who have contributed to our mission and to building this company. Our mission. They've never laid out, by the way, what the mission is. What is the mission? Betterment of humanity. We're going to make people happier. They never lay out an actual plan for it. You are falling for the snake oil salesman. I'm not saying you personally. By the way, if I've ranted at you and if you've at all felt attacked in any way in this episode, I'm so sorry. I'm trying to get a message across, and quite frankly, when you're passionate, especially about something that is like, I feel like it's destroying humanity. I feel like it's destroying the human soul. I feel like it's destroying people's vision for the future. People don't even want to go to college anymore. People don't feel a need to read books. People don't feel a need to invest themselves in knowledge. They just want to invest themselves in their little niches. They don't want to become Renaissance men or women. They just want to be I'm gonna be like Yoko Ono. I want to do music but not be good at it. I wanna make nude films with John Lennon, and I wanna make this one movie where the last shot of it, you can see the tip and there's juice coming out of it and shit. That's what Yoko Ono was into. That's what she was up to. And a lot of people they want to do that. They just want to be hippies that just sit around and they're into their little niches, but they don't know anything about the grand arts. They're not invested in history. They're not invested in the story of humanity. They're not deeply entrenched in the lore that they're like, oh, the lore of this this book or television show that's on what it just got this one lady, it's like the Maze Runner or some shit, or you see this one television show on Amazon Prime, and then you ask them well, okay, have you what do you think about the Divine Comedy or anything like that? What do we do you got a favorite of the three and whatnot? They're like, the Divine Comedy takes place in 3. It's like there's no media literacy nowadays. You talk to people, they're more invested in the lore of universes that were created 10 years ago than they are of the stories of ancient times. It's deeply I don't know if it to you it feels just an arrow to the heart. It just feels I'm sorry, I got to use this bullshit flowery language. I feel just a pain for humanity. I feel a pain for others. It's unfortunate, but you know what? We can't control what's happening around us. We just have to go with the flow, and we got to invest ourselves in the future and then whatever tomorrow has to offer. And you know what tomorrow has to offer? Probably another massive multi-agency law enforcement doing a sweep across the nation and discovering another massive child exploitation ring. I'm going to be honest with you. This news hit my doorstep a couple days ago. I haven't been able to work it in at any proper time, but I wanted to give it its own segment because it's a rather important story. So, 5 Southern California counties has dismantled a vast online predator network, resulting in the arrest of nearly 350 suspects. It was dubbed Operation Firewall. A month-long sting brought together more than 100 local, state, and federal agencies, stretching across a massive operational footprint from San Bernardino all the way to Ventura County. Law enforcement officials announced that the sweeping crackdown successfully resulted in the rescue of 40 child victims who were actively being exploited. God, that's tremendous news. The modern battle against child exploitation has increasingly shifted to the digital plane. Investigators executed dozens of high-risk search warrants targeting users of anonymous dark web networks. Authorities revealed that 341 individuals were taken into custody, and they face severe felony charges, including the production and distribution of child sexual abuse material, or CSAM, as it's referred to on. You always hear people, they'll shorten it or whatever, but they don't explain the abbreviation. I hate that. I hate when they do that. that just to get around like the programs, because literally they'll suppress your video if you use that word out loud. Human trafficking, and are attempting to meet minors for unlawful sexual purposes. Investigators noted that the dynamic of these crimes has shifted, warning that the predators are bypassing traditional physical spaces to aggressively groom vulnerable children directly through social media. We've known about this since like the days of Chris Hansen. You know what I mean? If you're a millennial or if you're Gen X, you probably remember the days of, "Hi, can I have you, Lena? Can I get you to have a seat there, buddy?" And then it's always some guy who looks like he's a goddamn plumber. And no offense to plumbers. Okay, I'm not going to paint a picture because I might offend some individuals here, and I'm not going to be that guy. I'm not going to be the one to generalize what predators look like, because they come in all shapes and sizes. There's teachers, there's Marines, there's literally, like, I remember one of my favorite episodes. There was this guy who got on his hands and knees and begged to Chris Hansen he begged to him like Tlaloc, the Aztec deity, "Please give us rain." He was like, "I'm an illegal. I'm gonna get in trouble. They'll send me home and shit." I love that video. It's one of my favorites. Let's hear a little bit about this. KTLA.
Hundreds of arrests and dozens of child rescues in a major crackdown against child exploitation across Southern California.
The month-long sting called Operation Firewall spanned 5 counties in our area. KTLA's Samantha Cortese is live in the newsroom with the breaking details.
Cortese.
The allegations against some individuals charged following this sting are incredibly disturbing. Thousands of agents across the United States formed the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. You'll hear them call it the ICAC. Here in Southern California, the task force spent nearly 1 month from April to the beginning of May acquiring and serving search warrants for more than 300 alleged child abusers. The agencies met up today to announce Operation Firewall. LAPD Chief Jim McDonnell says the sting resulted in 341 arrests and 40 children were identified and rescued from abuse. Chief McDonnell says the task force is using every kind of technology available.
By the way, just local warning, Midwest in general. This includes North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa, Michigan, Michigan especially, Wisconsin, you can, kind of the Great Lakes region, I'm going to be honest with you. But this region in particular, I want you to just be very careful, because I remember one trip that I took. I was driving, I think, through northern Wisconsin because I was on my way up to this lovely little campsite in, I think it's very, very west of Michigan. And it's got these beautiful falls and whatnot, and I love just like going up and seeing it. I don't know if I'll ever go again thanks to those goddamn ticks, but that's not the point of the story. The point of the story was that I went to just use the restroom. I remember it was some random little, it was like in the middle of the woods, essentially. My girlfriend and I, we were at the time, she was my girlfriend at the time, fiance now. She and I were getting gas, and I remember I went into, it was like this den. I'm going to be honest with you. You go out on the highway, and it's trees all around it. It's like they're piney ones so that you can barely see through it. It's all green and lush. I think this was like in the summertime. I'm pretty sure this was like June or July. So, July or August, my mistake. So I looked up and down the highway. You couldn't see another building or another car for miles. It was just completely, and eventually they curved out so that you just saw trees cutting off that area. So you were in the middle of nowhere. And then you go into the bathroom because you got to crack a piss, and that's because you're not going to find anywhere else, and I'm not going to risk standing in that tall grass or like having a stranger go by, and that's not my game. I get that was a big thing back in the day, not for me. So I go into the men's restroom. Even in the men's restroom, I'd understand having a flyer in the women's room, because it's just more likely to happen to them. But even in the men's restroom, in over the urinal, and I checked every stall. I was like, oh, I don't feel comfy touching these stalls, so I used my elbow. But I opened the doors, and on the back of each of the stalls, and on the front, like on the wall, right where your head would be, while you're pissing into the urinal, it said like, please call this number if you see something, say something. There's trafficking like notoriously around this area. And then it had like this Indian lady with a hand over her over her mouth. It was terrifying, and her eyes were wide. and it gave you like this website to go to, and I eventually looked it up. It had these like cues that you can look for. It like had helplines. It had all this stuff, and my mind goes to just like how prevalent must it be for these people to have it in the middle of nowhere for you to just I guess like if there's truckers and you're off major highways, all that sort of stuff, so maybe it would be an ideal spot to like try to reach out to a victim. I don't know. I'm logicking it out and now it makes a little more sense. Whatever.
To identify and hunt down people accused of heinous crimes against children, some as young as 1 year old.
Production, possession, and distribution of child sexual abuse material, lewd acts with a child, contacting or attempting to meet a minor for lewd purposes, human trafficking, failure to register as a convicted sex offender, and parole and probation violations by registered sex offenders.
Yeesh.
112 law enforcement agencies were represented today at this news conference. Law enforcement served search warrants in 5 counties, spanning from San Bernardino all the way to Ventura. They used one example of a man who's accused of posing as a high school football player, convincing a young girl to meet him for sex across the border in Mexico. The interagency task force alerted Mexican authorities, who rescued that girl.
Nice.
As Saley said, while there is Operation Firewall, parents are the first line of defense.
Yeah, obviously.
I've said it before, I'll say it again. Get your kids off the internet.
Yeah.
Nothing good comes from it.
At this
Most
point.
of the exploitation we're seeing today, they are not meeting these people out in the park or on the street.
It's not like the old days. Guys, I'm just going to say it. Maybe no phones. I'm going to be honest with you. If I ever have a child and whatnot, no phone. I'm just going to be so real with you. I know that they might be, I'm a trustworthy person, kind of. So I know that my child would probably be a trustworthy person, kind of. So I know that, like, I'm going to be honest with you. I would look at my kid and I'd go, I know all your friends have it. I know all your friends have the glasses that you can, like, send Snapchats on. I know all your friends have the contact lenses and they can send videos and whatnot during class. I don't want it. We're not doing that, buddy. All right. At the very most, I'm just going to be real with you. We're going to probably do one of those things where it's like an iPod where he can send email. Oh, wait, no, damn it. Because then he would, the Epstein files were via email and whatnot. That's still a means of communication. Damn it. And then Snapchat, literally, that's where like the most active predators are on Snapchat. Literally, predators are all over Snapchat. And just in case you didn't know, it's one of the biggest areas that those people are. It's like the types of people that you'll see working in a drive-thru, and then they'll be texting like a 16-year-old when you'll be like, who the hell is that? And they'll be like, oh, it's just this girl I've been talking to. And you'll be like, what the fuck? What? How old is she? And he'll be like, teens. And you'll be like, oh my God. All right. Well, all right. I'm just going to be honest with you. That's the types. You know exactly the types that I'm talking about. It's unfortunately, I'm not trying to generalize the people that work at drive-thru. You know what I mean? It's a varying mix of people. There's some great fellas that work in drive-thru, but it is, you know them when you see them. I'm going to be honest.
They are meeting your kids and they are grooming them online. And I don't care what platform it is. If there's an ability to communicate with an adult, they're being groomed.
Other agency represented at that news conference had that same message, pleading to parents to monitor their children online. Lauren, they used the example of you wouldn't just drop your children off in a room with adults you don't know.
Yeah, that's basically chat rooms. That's how a lot of people that I knew back in high school, middle school, all that stuff, that's how they got fucked up. Was they got into chat rooms. They got into like those community apps where they talk about their favorite fandoms, all that shit. That's where people got really groomed. I'm going to be honest with you. It's terrifying. Whatever. Let's talk about the rapid fire section of today's headlines. There's a lot of news that you need to know about in order to keep your media diet healthy. And I'm going to be real with you. It's not going to be the most fun news to talk about, especially for some individuals who don't like truth. And I'm going to be honest, it's varying. There's people on left, right, Freemason, Illuminati. There's no matter where you belong on the political spectrum. If you're a Jill Stein Green Party or if you're a Gary Johnson Libertarian, I'm going to be honest with you. No one is going to be happy with today's rapid fire section. France has proposed to ban all legal immigration for 3 years. Now, this is key. All legal, meaning you will not be able to immigrate to the nation of France for a total of 3 years. Justice Minister Gerald Darmanin declared immigration has reached its capacity for integration and assimilation. We must put an end to immigration as it is today. Now, this weekend has seen 1,000 migrants across the English Channel from northern France move to reduce any move to reduce the inflow to our southern neighbor would be welcomed in Britain, according to GBN News. So I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think this is the worst idea. And especially for places that have been besieged in quite, I'm going to be honest with you. People will always go the humanitarian angle of, we owe them. Well, we owe them, guys. I mean, like, didn't we have something to do with their civil war and whatnot? Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, we overturned their country. So like, you know how like a world leader that like maybe the United States, you're perfectly represented by the president, right? And if he makes a choice, then you deserve to be punished for it, right? Your communities deserve to be gutted. The crime rates deserve to go up. You deserve to have a bunch of people who don't pay as much taxes as you in property or federal or state. You don't deserve to have these people who literally are ghosts in the system. They can exist on a different level of the law than you, and you just have to deal with that. Unfortunately, a lot of people do. They just kind of sit with that fact. And I'm going to be honest with you. Is it a terrible idea to say that there can be such a thing as a migration pause? I think that that's not a terrible idea, especially if your countries reach capacity. France is tiny. You got to remember how little that, all of Europe is pretty much, you could fit it, you know what I mean, on the northern continent, the North American continent. It's not that hard. Let's take a look at this.
France is set to ban all legal immigration for 3 years. Justice Minister Gerald Darmanin.
Now, when you see the videos of the boats of migrants crashing into the shorelines and whatnot, then maybe you start to go, okay, yeah, maybe they have a point that maybe not anybody who just shows up can call this place home.
French media this weekend that immigration to the country has, quote, reached its capacity for integration and assimilation. We must put an end to immigration as it is today. Darmanin proposed the government start by blocking migrant family reunification and to reform the constitution to allow legal quotas on the number of people allowed into France.
Sure.
Darmanin, who has served in
What's so crazy about that? What is so crazy about the idea of, like, we can have a cap on how many people come in a year or whatever? Like, that's it. I'm sorry, that's the amount that we can do. That's the proper amount. Assimilation is a thing. You have to realize that you need time. The Italians didn't just show up to New York and start making pizza for everybody. They were, they needed time to calm down. You know what I mean? The Sicilians needed a little time to get their attitudes in check. The Irish needed a little time to, work as indentured servants in order to earn their spot as other whites. You know what I mean? Nowadays, you're Irish. It's like, okay, you're just another white. But you got to remember, at a certain point, it was like, oh wait, you're not English, or like, wait a minute, I'm English, you're Scots. We're literally not the same race. We're not the like. What are we talking about?
Emmanuel Macron says the issue, if not dealt with now, will have to be settled at next year's presidential election. Though the Justice Minister declined to state whether or not he will run. The majority of small boat crossings to Britain arrive via France. The country faces fierce criticism from politicians here for its failure to police their coastline. Though, moves to clamp down on people smugglers operating in northern France has seen the gangs launch crossings from Belgium. Leading the polls for next year's presidential election is the right-wing Jordan Bardella, who has agreed with Nigel Farage that a future Reform UK government would be allowed to tow migrants back to Calais.
So I've sat with Jordan Bardella, who is also a favourite to be the next Premier.
Premier.
In France.
In France. I love his accent.
I took lunch actually in London.
Lunch actually in London.
Lunches well. I ordered the best French wines. Some good food. I went for the French. Got to look after them. And then, so it was putting approached. I said, well, I'm very sorry, Jordan, but we've given you 800 million quid already. And this is before the next 660 million quid. Yeah, that's been promised. I'm really sorry, but unless you stop this, I'm going to get the Royal Marines to tow boats back to France. And it all went very quiet for a bit.
Nigel Farage.
Well, then I said, I accept that. I get that.
Either way,
I love Nigel Farage. He's just got a great. It's just great to listen to. All right, teen takeovers, dangerous viral trend known as teen takeovers, where large groups of teens. I'm going to be honest with you. This is what happens when your society doesn't have college to look forward to, when it doesn't have like good jobs to look forward to. And I'm not blaming. And people are going to be like, this is like anti-capitalist message. It's not actually. I think that these kids are just on a wrong path. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not blaming blaming Amazon Go for, like, making children fucking tear up a Wendy's or, like, tear up a goddamn mall. I'm saying that, like, teens in general, they're going on their phones every day that their parents gave them, and they are hearing the message, AI's coming in, it's stealing your jobs. What is the point of investing yourself in a future where, like, we're going to be, autism centers are going to be stealing the money that would have gone to, like, funding schools. So don't ever think about becoming a teacher. Don't ever think about, like, fucking, whatever. Don't become a police officer, because we're going to be defunding all of that. And it's going to be robot police officers pretty soon, by the way. You're going to be able to go into a police station. They're already debuting this, I believe, in Africa, and there's 3 other ones around the world where you can go in, report a crime, and it's literally staffed by nobody. There's no person in the police station actually there. It's just to report them. And then you can, like, video call an AI chatbot. It's ridiculous. So unfortunately, teens are looking at the world that's being built for them, and they're saying, why not just, like, descend onto a Target and, like, steal speakers?
Tonight, dramatic new video of Chicago police pinning people down and struggling to quell massive Memorial Day crowds.
Of course, it's Chicago.
53 people were arrested, and nearby 3 teens were shot.
By the way, the great Fargo from Chicago migration has begun. The Fargo-Moorhead area in general, you walk around, there's a lot more people from Chicago. All colors, by the way. I'm not making it like, I'm not a person coming out here saying the urbans are moving up. I'm not trying to say that. Jesus, why are you trying to be that way? I'm trying to say that it's just noticeable that you talk to people around the area. I'm in Moorhead all the time, and there's people that are just like, you know what I mean? They're like, they even have the Illinois accent. I feel like I'm in an episode of Shameless. It's very interesting.
24 hours after investigators say an 18-year-old plowed his car into a crowd of 5 officers, all now in fair condition. The teen charged with attempted murder. 2 so-called teen takeovers in 24 hours. A viral trend sweeping the nation, with massive gatherings organized online and unleashed on unsuspecting communities coast to coast, often turning chaotic or violent. In Tampa, police body camera video shows massive fights amid a teen takeover earlier this month. Here, you see the mayhem from above. Authorities say 22 people were arrested, as young as 12. Another
awesome.
Breaking out at this Chipotle in Washington, D.C. Outside Milwaukee, cars spinning out in this intersection. Authorities last month responding to 12...
Yeah, these kids are like, fuck it. Fuck it, why not? If I'm gonna have to go to sleep with an AI data center hum in the background of my life for the next 40 years, fuck it. I'm gonna go tear up the streets in my goddamn Porsche that I rented.
In one weekend. Now, Chicago officials weighing targeting parents, with one
Do it.
representative proposing charging parents of minors arrested at teen takeovers after the city's 10 p.m. curfew with contributing to the delinquency of a minor. A Class A misdemeanor, punishable by up to a $2,500 fine and 364 days in jail.
Wow.
This strategy of potentially charging parents, do you think it would be effective?
Yes.
I think that it's a start. We need to have a proactive approach from police, whereas they should be monitoring social media to establish where these meetups would be occurring and placing officers accordingly.
I guess if you wanna go ahead and throw the blame all the way back on them, it's perfectly fine. Listen, I just want to say that if you're a teen, maybe it's not a great idea to get something on your permanent record just so that you can, I don't know. It looks like it's also bad for your tires to be spinning out like that. All right, whatever. Let's talk about in Japan. They're testing a drug that will give you the ability to regrow lost adult teeth. Now, I want this to go through intense medical trials before we even consider rolling this out, because tumors have already been proven to show the ability to grow teeth. I don't want there to be some situation where we're injecting people with a genome that could end up giving them like a cancer, you know what I mean? But let's see what this product entails.
Dentist, then listen up, because this one is for you. Human trials have started on a drug that could let you regrow your teeth. Yes,
wow.
For the first time, researchers at Kyoto University Hospital in Japan began administering an experimental tooth regeneration drug to human volunteers. The drug is designed to stimulate the biological growth of new teeth in adults by waking up dormant teeth. Yeah, that's right. We can regrow a third set of teeth. It's just that the machinery is currently switched off by a protein called USAG1. or the break protein. This drug essentially releases that break, neutralizing the protein, and in turn allows your body's natural tooth buds to wake up and grow into fully functioning teeth. Currently, if you have to replace a tooth, your options are very limited and expensive. Option 1, your dentures or implants, which can set you back thousands of dollars per tooth. Or there's option 2. But with the market release date for the drug set for 2030, you're going to have to wait a few more years.
2030. I mean, that's not a long time to wait. I mean, I'm still skeptical about. I want intense medical trials, but whatever. The WHO chief has warned that the Ebola epidemic is spreading as cases top 900. Now, I'm not one for panicking. I'm not one for making a big thing out of anything. But there have been more than 900 suspected cases of it, as doctors are operating on the front lines in the Democratic Republic of Congo, already grappling with the shortages of basic supplies. They are also now having to deal with attacks to their facilities and fleeing patients. Well, that's not sounding like it's being handled very well.
Dr. Tedros issued a stark warning. At the moment, he said, the epidemic is outpacing us. Speaking to WHO doctors on the ground, it's clear they're playing catch-up.
We don't yet know the full extent of the outbreak, and now it is very difficult. We're running behind the outbreak. We're not yet, trying to control it.
Red Cross workers now going door to door, sharing information about how the disease is spread. Volunteers in hazmat suits supervising burials. But attacks on healthcare facilities, ongoing conflict, and mistrust in the community.
Now, who's attacking these facilities? That's a very interesting thing. I'm not saying the World Economic Forum or, agents of the Freemasons. I'm not saying that anybody who would be manufacturing or would want the spread of this disease in order to manufacture a panic. I'm not saying that that is the case whatsoever. I'm not saying anything like that. I wouldn't say that. That's not what I'm saying.
Response. And back in the States, airport screening of incoming travelers from Central Africa now expanding. Dr. Tedros issued...
Who burns these facilities? That's my authentic question. Also, by the way, if you want to know how well it's going in the United States, CDC is seeking volunteers to help screen travelers at U.S. airports for Ebola. God help us. Amid a growing Ebola outbreak, the CDC sent an urgent request to its staff for help screening Americans returning from Central Africa for potential signs of the virus.
Tonight is now asking for volunteers to help screen travelers arriving in the U.S. for Ebola. And the concern now with the World Cup soon being held in the U.S. Here's Faith Abube.
Faith Abube.
The CDC sending an urgent request to its staff members for help screening Americans returning to the U.S. from Central Africa for any potential signs of Ebola. The internal email obtained by ABC News and sent by Acting CDC Director Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, asking for volunteers to bolster efforts at airports to check passengers for symptoms like fever.
Jay Bhattacharya. Bhattacharya? Do we even know he can wash his hands?
Intercontinental Airport in Houston, Texas, now one of just 3 entry points, along with Virginia's Washington Dulles and Hartsfield-Jackson in Atlanta, for U.S. citizens who have been in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Uganda, or South Sudan in the last 3 weeks. Non-Americans are currently banned from entering the country if they've recently traveled to those...
Why are we even... This guy, does he know the first thing about how diseases spread? This gentleman who's running this whole operation, why isn't he barring anybody? No, sorry, if you're from Central Africa right now, I'm sorry. I don't care if you have work in the morning. You're not coming back until we verify that you're good. We're short on supplies, buddy. I'm sorry. We can't be having people hantavirus this shit. We can't be having people, just go home and self-monitor.
Ebola is suspected to have killed more than 200 people, and international aid groups say this outbreak could become the deadliest on record. A dire scene in the eastern Congo, a baby born to a mother infected with Ebola, dying from the disease. Health officials warning the outbreak is spreading faster than responders can contain it. One American aid worker in the region telling us doctors are already stretched thin.
Right now we're working 14, 16-hour days, 6-7 days a week. We're trying to rotate
6-7
breaks.
At least 10 African nations bordering the Democratic Republic of the Congo now at an elevated transmission risk. David, the request for CDC volunteers to help with airport Ebola screenings comes as millions of soccer fans are expected to travel to the U.S. in less than 3 weeks for the World Cup. But the CDC insists
If you are gonna risk giving the entire world Ebola for the World Cup, you're goy slop. The World Cup, any of these fucking big sporting events, all this shit, it's cattle herding. That's all that this practice is. It's getting people ring the bell to put on their favorite gear and whatnot, show up, moo, support their team. That is all that it is. It's sheep herding. I'm sorry to say it. It's unfortunate if you're willing to throw out your reputation. You know, you're gonna be the one who was known for giving us all this. I'm sorry, it's your fault. You wanted to come and see the goddamn, guys kick the ball. It's fine. I want you to realize that you will be remembered forever in history as the person who brought the Ebola virus to the United States. Please do your best. Just stay home, in all honesty. Okay, final rapid fire section headline. Connecticut Attorney General William Tong. Now, this is a fun one. He says that the state is launching an investigation into Roblox over child safety concerns. I just want to play this purely because of the example that he uses here. Let's see it.
This is the screenshot of a Roblox blocky character. So if you know anything about Roblox, they're blocky characters.
Oh my god.
This is an experience on Roblox.
Is it?
Okay. What does this experience depict?
Huh.
It says time until police come. 4:40 to where? Sandy Hook Elementary. Sandy Hook Elementary.
It's an educational game.
You could have an experience on Roblox as the shooter at Sandy Hook.
It's educational.
Here's another one. The cafeteria.
You see a little text bubble going, no, please.
This is an experience that Roblox has rated as appropriate for children ages 9 and up.
Do not take away my Sandy Hook Roblox experience, if I was about to call him a doctor. AG Tong, I do not want you to be taking away my Roblox freedom. God damn it. The restrictions in this country are getting ridiculous. All right. Let's talk about our final headline. Terrified Seattle residents build DIY barricades across streets amid a horrific crime wave. Isn't this a fun headline? Let's go. Final one. Go. A North Seattle neighborhood has transformed into a makeshift fortress as terrified residents have taken public safety into their own hands. Over the holiday weekend, frustrated homeowners that live near the city's troubled Aurora Avenue corridor began building massive DIY street barricades to cut off traffic feeding into their residential blocks, armed with truckloads of gravel, heavy logs, concrete, and large metal planter boxes filled with dirt. The neighbors effectively blocked off 3 separate sides of the street. Oh my God. The community says the extreme move was born of pure desperation following a violent weekend shootout that left roughly 40 bullet casings scattered across their neighborhood. I mean, let me be honest with you. Much like the old city in Gaza, this neighborhood is like fine. It's like, I don't know what they're fighting over. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to describe the scene. It's usual. The houses are ugly as shit. You have a few mid-century moderns mixed in with like these Dutch colonials, and then you have like like these little mill houses essentially, and then you have like this big ugly box that's very modern and gaudy. The fucking garage is borrowed right from the 1950s with these big mirrors and whatnot. It's whatever. It's all very, very ugly. Locals say the residential block west of Aurora Avenue has been completely overrun by an aggressive wave of crime, commercial sex trafficking, and nightly gunfire. Neighbors report that pimps, johns, and drug dealers regularly circle their homes, culminating in at least 8 separate shootings within a 10-block radius over the last month alone. The terror hit a breaking point last week when stray bullets from a street battle ripped directly into a nearby home, narrowly missing a 6-week-old baby bassinet. Oh my goodness. Residents say that they feel entirely abandoned by City Hall and the police department, framing the illegal blockades as a survival tactic to protect their families from being caught in the crossfire. However, the grassroots barricades have sparked a fierce debate over safety concerns and city rules. Community in general, a swift response from local officials. Many neighbors view the roadblocks as a necessary shield. Others are arguing that the obstructions are too dangerous and they are a hazard that could critically delay firefighters, medics, and police officers responding to emergencies. Fair point, but they can go on foot. They can hoof it. If gangbangers can hoof it, it'll be fine. Seattle Department of Transportation notes that unauthorized street blockades violate city codes and carry hefty fines, putting DIY barricades on the chopping block for eventual city removal. Even so, defiant residents have already rebuilt some of the structures with even stronger reinforcements, vowing to keep the roadblocks up until the city leaders step up with real solutions to stop the violence. You know, I'm not in favor of people taking it in their own hands, especially Seattle residents. You knew what you were getting into when you moved to the city, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry to say it, but one goes to the city that shares their values. That's just a fact. Unfortunately, you will find the area that calls to you. And you know what? If Seattle doesn't work for you, I think that there are plenty places that are a lot cheaper. When you head out east, when you go out into the countryside a bit of Washington State, you'll find something that'll work for you. Everybody does. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I had a wonderful time gathering all these stories for you. I hope you had an even more wonderful time listening to them. We will be at it again tomorrow, Thursday to Friday. We take the weekend off, but we will be back at it again Monday again. If you want to be there for tomorrow's episode, subscribe, like if you liked it, ring the bell for notifications. There we go. I got the phrase out. In the meantime, I have been Ollie Vogt Larson with your brain on air. Thank you so very much for listening. I will see you in the next episode, and bye-bye.